Hello everyone, and welcome to the first episode of ClydeCast on Clyde92 TV. For those of you that do not know what this series is all about, it's a new series on my channel, and if you want to know a little bit more about the series, you can go to episode 5, I think it is, of my Jazz My GM, because in that video, I go a little bit more in-depth on what this series is all about. But just a quick overview, this is basically going to be a weekly series that's going to come out either every Sunday or every Monday. I'm recording this on a Monday right now, so I may not be able to get this up online until Tuesday, but I'm going to try to get one of these videos out every week for the remainder of the summer. And in these videos, I'm going to talk about only topics that are relevant in 2015. So you guys are probably going to hear me and some of my friends join me on this show and talk about stuff like free agency, NBA 2K16, just the NBA in general. And there are just so many things I'm looking forward to doing in this series and talking about with you guys. And for the first time ever on this channel, I'm going to have some of my friends talking about these topics with me. So I'm not going to be the only voice you're going to hear. And after you watch this video, I want you guys to go into the comments section below and tell me what you think about the topic that we're talking about. And today's topic is the 2015 NBA Draft. In this video, I want to tell you guys my projections for the top 10 picks of the draft. So the first pick is going to the Minnesota Timberwolves, and I have them picking Jahlil Okafor. He's coming out of Duke, the team that just won the tournament this year, and I know a lot of people have Karl Anthony Towns going number 1, but I disagree with them, and I think it's for good reason. In my opinion, I think Karl Anthony Towns and Jahlil Okafor are both going to end up being great centers, but I can see Okafor going number 1. When you look at the team that Karl Anthony Towns played on, that Kentucky team was just amazing. They had so many great options on that team. So when you play against other colleges, they're not going to direct all of their defensive focus onto Karl Anthony Towns. They have so many other options on that team. When you play against Duke, though, Jahlil Okafor is the main focus for your defense, and I think that's why Karl Anthony Towns looked to have a better performance in the tournament, because going into the tournament, many people had Okafor going number 1, but it just so happens that after watching the tournament, Karl Anthony Towns got bumped up to that number 1 spot. The only real drawback that I see with Jahlil Okafor is his defense, but I think in the NBA, it's easier to teach a big man good defense than it is to teach him good offense. So obviously, if I have Jahlil Okafor going number 1, I'm gonna have Karl Anthony Towns going number 2. Like I said, he had an amazing performance in the tournament. I think he's gonna be a really nice set if he goes to Los Angeles. If he teams up with Kobe, Julius Randle, and possibly Rajon Rondo, I think that would be a really nice set of players. If they were to team up, they would make the playoffs this year, but I can't see them getting any further than the second round. But down the road, once Julius Randle and Karl Towns begin to develop, I think that's when they're going to be able to make a deep playoff run. With the third pick of the NBA draft, I have the Philadelphia 76ers taking D'Angelo Russell. Russell is probably the best guard available in this entire draft right out of Ohio State, and the Sixers are in desperate need of a shooting guard ever since they traded away KJ McDaniels. They've really been looking for all positions other than power forward and center. If Russell were to be drafted by the Sixers, I see them putting him at the point guard spot, mainly because when you watch him play, he does a really good job in just getting over smaller defenders. For a guy his size, he's a lot stronger than the other guys that play his position. The only drawback I really see looking at D'Angelo Russell is that while he may be able to get by defenders that are smaller than him, when he finally gets to the rim, he has a difficult time finishing over taller defenders. Nearly every center in the NBA is around 7 feet tall, so if Russell wants to be an explosive guard, he's going to need to improve on that skill. Now with the fourth pick of the NBA draft, it's going to my Knicks. You know that's my favorite team, and I have them taking Emmanuel Mudiay. There are 2 players in this draft that I can see being busts, and I think Mudiay could be one of them, but like the Sixers, the Knicks really need a guard on this team. The fourth pick is a little bit tough in this draft because it's not worth getting a big man at this point in the draft. Plus, there are so many big men in free agency this year, like Marc Gasol, like Greg Monroe, that the Knicks could take, so it makes more sense for them to take a guard, but there aren't really that many great guards available, and if you're gonna take a guard at that point in the draft, your best option there looks like Emmanuel Mudiay. With the 5th pick of the draft, I have the Orlando Magic taking Justice Winslow. Now, this pick is a little bit iffy because it's gonna come down to whether or not Tobias Harris decides to re-sign with the Magic. If he decides to re-sign, I don't see them taking Justice Winslow, but I think Tobias Harris is gonna want more money this year. I think he's definitely getting better in the NBA, and he's not going to want to re-sign with the Magic, who aren't a contender, and they're probably not going to want to pay him that much. Moving on to the 6th pick of the draft, I have the Sacramento Kings taking Mario Hezonja. I'm not sure if I said that right or not, but I think this guy fits perfectly into the Kings system. He's a great shooter, he's a decent defender, and I think that fits a lot of what the Kings are at this point. They have guys like Rudy Gay and Darren Collison, both of which are really good scorers and just decent defenders. And plus, if they were to put Hezonja at either the shooting guard position or the small forward, they could put Rudy Gay at the power forward spot, and then they would really only be looking for one more spot on this Kings team. They could either take a guy like Monte Ellis and put him at shooting guard in free agency, or if they put Hezonja at the shooting guard spot, keep Rudy Gay at small forward, maybe they could get a guy like LaMarcus Aldridge and put him at power forward. I know there's a small chance of that happening, but if that did happen, that would be a deadly Kings team. Now with the 7th pick of the draft, I have the Denver Nuggets taking Willie Cauley-Stein. Earlier this year, the Nuggets traded away 2 of their centers, JaVale McGee and Timothy Mozgov, and I think that Willie Cauley-Stein would play a great role in Denver. He is now in his junior year, I think it is, at college, so what you see of him playing now is basically what you're going to get. Ever since the Nuggets traded away Carmelo Anthony, they've really had a rough past couple years, and they're just looking for that one player that they can guarantee a decent season out of, and I think Willie Cauley-Stein will be that guy. Next up, with the 8th pick of the draft, I have the Detroit Pistons taking Stanley Johnson. The Pistons are basically set at every other position except small forward. They have Brandon Jennings at point guard, Andre Drummond at center, Reggie Jackson at shooting guard, so they're really looking for that small forward on their team to replace Tayshaun Prince, and by this point in the draft, I'm expecting Justice Winslow to already be taken, so Stanley Johnson would be your next best option. I can see Stanley Johnson turning into a player much like Gerald Green, where he's really good at attacking the basket. He's a nice guy to have on your team, but he's not going to be the one to lead your team to a championship. And now moving on to the 9th pick of the draft, I know you guys have been waiting to hear his name. The 9th pick, going to the Charlotte Hornets, I have Kristaps Porzingis. A lot of people have him going in the top 5. Some people are comparing him to Dirk, but I just cannot see it. I know this may sound terrible, but I can see him turning more into a Darko Milicic rather than a Dirk Nowitzki. It looks like he has everything he needs to become the next Dirk Nowitzki. He can shoot the outside shot, he can get down low in the post, he has a nice fadeaway, he was making 3-pointers in his workout, but unless all of these characteristics are put together in the right team, I don't see it working out at all. The only team where I can really see it working out would be the Charlotte Hornets, which is why I had him dropping that far. Moving on to the 10th pick of the draft, I have Sam Dekker, and I know a lot of you are going to be surprised that I had Dekker being drafted before Frank Kaminsky, but just looking at Dekker as a player, I think he's a better guy to have on your team. I don't think he's going to be a starter in this league. I think he'll be mainly a guy coming off the bench as a role player. But if you're a team like the Heat that can probably make the playoffs in a weak Eastern Conference, you don't really need a lot of new starters on your team. You just need some nice role players, and Sam Dekker would easily fill that spot. He can shoot the ball, and he's a little bit taller for his position, so that would work out perfectly for the Heat. Anyways, I hope you guys had a fun time watching this video. Be sure to go into the comments section below and tell me how you think the 2015 NBA draft is going to shape up. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great day. God bless you guys.